Welcome back to Make More Love. In this show, we share real strategies that help high-performing men build passionate, intimate relationships and live fulfilling lives. I'm your host, Ellen Dorian. I'm both a relationship coach and a business coach, so I know how to handle all the crap that comes up when you're working to be the best at everything. So let's get into it. We're back with part 3 of the Bad Advice series. So far, we've talked about vague advice that doesn't mean anything. We've talked about dumb advice that if you followed it, you'd end up looking like an idiot. And today, we're digging into the truly dangerous stuff. Advice that's flat out wrong in a way that can seriously damage your relationship and honestly, your self-worth too. And this week, some of the worst advice we're covering came straight from you. A few listeners responded to my call out asking for the worst relationship advice you've ever gotten. And well, wow, just wow. Thank you so much for taking the time to share it. So we're going to unpack some really nasty stuff, tear it down, and then use the pieces to build something better. All right, this is wrong advice number 1. Be with someone who loves you more than you love them. I'd never heard this one before. This one came from a listener. He said his dad told him this when he was 23. He said he believed it because it seemed obvious that his dad loved his mom more than she loved him. Now, from what he told me about his parents' relationship, I'm not sure he or his dad had interpreted that situation correctly. And as a relationship expert, it's hard to see that kind of misunderstanding passed down. But of course, they didn't have access to someone like me back then. Let's be clear. This advice is protective. It's basically saying, if they love you more, at least they won't break your heart. Well, no, they won't break your heart because you will have already broken your own heart by settling. And we'll come back to that. Anyway, he followed his dad's advice, got married at 24. He's 20 years in now, and it says he has to live with his biggest regret every day of his life. So let's talk about why this advice is so damaging. It's a great strategy, by the way, for a business acquisition. Buy the company that needs you more than you need it. But it's a terrible strategy for a life partnership because it's not about love, it's about control. It sets up a power imbalance from the very beginning, and that kind of dynamic always leads to trouble down the line. It also sets a terrible example for your kids, which, by the way, is how this guy ended up with this advice in the first place. If you wouldn't want your children manipulated into believing that this is love, then why would you accept it for yourself? And maybe the most tragic part is that forever is a damn long time to spend with someone who doesn't ring your bell and make you weak in the knees. Yeah, I know, new relationship energy fades and that's normal. But when you're in the right kind of partnership, that spark resurfaces through the years in ways that might surprise you. Just from the conversation I had with this listener, I read a few things. He feels trapped in the relationship. He feels guilty for not reciprocating his wife's adoration. He has a lot of contempt for her because she doesn't seem to realize he doesn't feel deeply for her. He feels like a bad person for fooling her into marrying someone who doesn't love her the way she deserves. And he feels cheated because he never got to experience a relationship where he could give and fully receive love. How do I know all that? When someone is living this kind of emotional disconnection, it's obvious to almost everyone but them. It leaks out in their words, their energy, the way they talk about their partner. It's not hard to see. So, if any part of this story hits home, I want you to know you are not stuck. You're not a bad person, and there is a way to move forward with clarity, integrity, and purpose. So if you feel this, then let's talk. Book a relationship reset call with me, and let's figure out your next move. Just go to relationshipresetcall.com and set up a time that works for you, where you have privacy and space to share what you need. The call is free, it's quick, just 15 minutes or so, and just you and me. I'll help you sort through the mess, recover your sense of honor, and then we can make a plan to remake your relationship into the one you feel like you belong in and want to be in. one that reflects everything worth loving about you. Let's move on to wrong advice number 2. If your relationship isn't working, shake things up and try something radical. This isn't bad advice in some situations. In fact, I've given it myself. Trying something new can absolutely bring fresh energy, spark curiosity, and increase connection. The trouble comes down to how and when people try to implement it. There are 2 big mistakes I see all the time. 1, they try to shake things up when the relationship's already under pressure. When you're distant, not having sex, and resentment has built up. At that point, what your relationship needs is repair, not reinvention. And number 2, they pick the wrong kind of radical. People try all sorts of moves when they feel desperate, and they can indeed be pretty radical. But in most cases, they're trying to apply an external solution to an internal problem, and that rarely works out the way people hope it will. Let me share 5 of the most common biggies that people make that backfire the worst. Number 1 is have a baby. Babies are wonderful, and you make them together. They can bond you more closely. One of my clients told me he agreed to try for a baby because it meant having sex more often. But he failed to think past the baby-making phase of the project. And ask anyone who has one. Babies are also exhausting, expensive, and relentless in their needs. A friend of mine once said, if your relationship is falling apart, having a baby won't fix it, but it will make you too exhausted to care. How about number 2? Quit a job, start a business, or make a big financial investment. Financial stress is one of the fastest ways to erode trust and safety in a relationship. Taking a major risk when things are already tense at home is like jumping off a bridge without a bungee cord. You find out fast that's not going to end well. The third one people try is moving across the country. New city, new start, right? Except wherever you go, there you are. And your relationship problems are usually more than ready to hang on for the ride. So moving across the country is rarely a good idea, except there is one situation. If you both agree that you have mother-in-law problems, then a cross-country move might be the perfect solution. Let me know what you think. Number 4, buy or renovate a house. We all know someone who started a major renovation project thinking it would bring them closer together. Spoiler, it rarely works that way. Here's some advice. Just watch HGTV together. That way, you can bond over judging other people's renovation nightmares instead of creating your own. Number 5 is open the marriage. This one deserves its own episode, and it's actually in the works. I honestly believe in open relationships. I've helped people navigate them with integrity and with a lot of success. But if your relationship is already broken or disconnected, introducing more people into the mix is not going to make it any better. Wanda Sykes, one of my favorite comedians, has a great bit about this. And yes, it stereotypes men a little bit, so forgive me for that, but it does make the point. She says, every man seems to want a threesome. They want 2 women. Fellas, I think that's a bit lofty because, come on, if you're not 100% sure you can satisfy one woman, why would you want to piss off another one? All that said, if your relationship feels a little stuck or stale, then yes, doing something new can be a way to inject energy. If you're not sure what kind of new thing to try, then please don't hesitate to reach out. Send me a message, DM, email, or just go ahead and book one of those relationship reset calls at relationshipresetcall.com. With the right thing and the right timing, it could be a game changer, but only after you've taken a hard look at what's not working and done the work to address that. Fix the foundation first, then build something new on top of that. Okay, moving on to wrong advice number 3. Going for counseling means you have serious problems. This is one of the most damaging myths out there, not just because it's wrong, but because it completely misses the point of relationship help. A lot of couples feel deeply disconnected, but they don't see that as a crisis. They say, we're fine, We're not fighting. Nobody's cheating. We're not sleeping in separate beds. It's just the way things are. But here's the problem. If you're buried under years of disconnection, resentment, and unresolved hurt, these are deep, layered issues that require vulnerability just to start addressing them. Eventually, you may see that you need something. You know you haven't been able to fix it yourselves, and it's not getting any better on its own. So you take a leap and you sign up for counseling. And now you're sitting in front of one person you don't know and another person you don't trust, and you might not even be sure which of them is which. So what happens? You end up talking about wet towels on the floor, dirty dishes in the sink, leaving the toilet seat up. You're way past the point where those things even matter, but chances are you don't know how to explain what does matter. Because what's really wrong is that you feel abandoned, disconnected, unwanted, unloved, disrespected, and hopeless. But you don't feel comfortable expressing that. You think saying those things will only make the situation worse. So you sit there arguing about chores and logistics while the real issues stay buried. And here's the worst part. When the counseling doesn't help, you start to believe that your relationship can't be saved. But that's not true. What's missing isn't necessarily love or even potential. It's systems, tools, and strategies that you can use to turn things around. Honestly, who doesn't want more love, more closeness, more passion, more honesty in their relationship? Everyone could use more of that. And that's exactly why getting relationship help for the big picture is the smartest way to prevent a crisis. Now, when you approach it this way, it's not therapy, it's like strategic planning. At least that's how I work with my clients. We're looking at the near term, the midterm, and the long term. We're solving problems, we're making plans, we're maximizing our relationship return on investment. And you'll learn the language to express your needs naturally as a byproduct of the planning process, just like in business. That's not failure, that's leadership. If there's one theme running through all three of these wrong pieces of advice, it's this. Shortcuts and safety nets don't build world-class relationships. Settling for imbalance, slapping on distractions, or waiting for disaster before you get help, all of those things chip away at trust, attraction, and respect. So here are 3 key points I hope you'll take away from today's episode. Number 1 is that love is not a power play. Settling for someone who loves you more may protect your ego, but it starves genuine intimacy and breeds resentment for both of you. Number 2 is external fixes don't heal internal problems. Babies, relocating, big financial risks, renovations, threesomes, none of those are going to repair the shaky foundation. Renovate the relationship first. Then decide if you still need a home makeover or another partner or another baby or anything else. Number 3, preventative maintenance today prevents emergency repair problems later. Don't wait until you're arguing in a counselor's office to admit that you feel lonely in your own relationship. Smart couples treat strategy and skill building as maintenance long before the house falls down. None of this is about perfection. It's about leadership. It's about choosing to act before you're forced to. Now it's your turn. Which wrong idea has slipped into your own relationship? If you can catch it, name it out loud, and start the repair, do it now. The stakes will never be lower than they are right now. Now, have you got other pieces of terrible advice that you've heard? I would love to hear them. We're starting a collection, so DM me, email me, drop it in the comments. Next week, we're going to cover the worst advice ever. We've tackled the vague, the dumb, and the dangerous, and now we're going after the one that sounds the sweetest and does the most damage. It's the kind of advice people embroider onto throw pillows. And if you've ever believed it, you're definitely not alone. So don't miss it. And while you're at it, send this episode to someone who might be considering another baby or buying a house or whatever traps they're about to fall into. All right. I hope today's episode got you thinking. But you know we can only do so much in an open forum like this. If you want to look at your specific situation, book in that free relationship reset call. We'll figure out the next best move and set you on a path to a better relationship for both you and your partner. You can just head over to relationshipresetcall.com and pick a time. You can also join our Passionate Partners Insider community on Facebook. There's exclusive content and resources there. Or visit our website or our social channels to learn more about our programs, workshops, and private coaching options. All the links to everything I mentioned, plus my personal email, are in the show notes. I'll be here whenever you're ready. Now, I've got a quick request. I'd really appreciate your help spreading the word about Make More Love. First, if you haven't done it already, hit follow or subscribe on your favorite platform. It helps more people find the show, and it also keeps you in the loop. Second, leaving a review would mean the world. It helps us grow our community and reach more people. And finally, if you know someone who is struggling in their relationship, then share the show with them. You might just change their life. Thank you so much for spreading the word. Here's the best piece of advice I can give you. Love is not something you find. You have to make it. And my mission is to help you make more love with your wife and in your life. I'm Ellen Dorian, and that's what I've got for you today.